Hi, this is Adam Coleman with Wyndham Capital Mortgage. I just wanted to go through part two of my series in describing different ways to tap into your equity. We're going to dive a little bit deeper into HELOCs or home equity lines of credit. If you want to go through a summary, please go back to my YouTube channel and check out the first presentation on this, and it'll go through a little bit of a summary on all three of these options. But we're going to go through more in detail of the HELOC. So again, a HELOC is really more of a credit card tied to your house. Very good for very good for like short-term needs. It's a variable rate, so we have to kind of figure out if that's going to be too risky for certain people. But that's one of the main pros and cons of the HELOC. So we'll go through this. Again, this is all discussed in more detail on the summary. But going through kind of the best uses for a HELOC, it's really more for emergency access to funds. If you need to be able to tap into equity relatively easily, if you already have a HELOC set up, this is a great way to do that. Again, very helpful for short-term financing needs. If you're trying to buy a house and you need to put money down for a down payment, but you don't have the cash and you have tons of equity tied up into your current house, if you don't plan on making it contingent on the sale of your current house, then you could actually tap into your equity with a HELOC, use that for the down payment on the next house, and then later sell your old house to pay yourself back, essentially. Not ideal for anything long-term. Again, the variable rate of a HELOC can make it very risky because those rates can obviously shoot up quite a bit, as we've seen recently with the rate going up over a percentage point in the last couple months. So for a scenario with a HELOC, this is just kind of a rough scenario that I see all the time. So basically somebody has a $300,000 mortgage, but they were able to get it at such a low rate from when rates were so low for a couple years. So they have a 3% rate. Credit card debt's piled up a little bit, so they've got about $25,000 at a 10% rate. Pretty standard rate. It could obviously be much higher than that. They've got some car loan debt at a good rate and some student loan debt also at a relatively low rate. And they do plan on paying it back pretty quickly. So what's the best option? A HELOC, cash out, or home equity loan? In my opinion, a HELOC is the way to go in this case. So again, because their payback period is relatively short, the credit card debt is not a huge percentage of their overall debt. That's really the best option because you can get that credit card debt lowered into a lower interest rate. Obviously, it is still variable, but so is a credit card debt. So you're still always going to save on the rate compared to the credit card. This is better than a cash out refinance because their current rate is so low that it just wouldn't make sense to affect their current rate of 3% just to pay off a little bit of credit card debt. Now, obviously, they should monitor rates, see if a cash out refinance down the road might be a better option, but for the near future, the HELOC would be better. The home equity loan is not as good in my opinion just because it starts off at such a high fixed rate in most cases, and because the payback period is so quick, then I think the HELOC would be the better option in this case. Now, if it gets to a point where they don't plan on paying this back quite as fast, then other options could be considered. Now, again, the main issue with HELOCs is the variable rate. Now, I had this chart from the last slide from a couple months ago, and already the rate has gone up by 1.25%, even higher than it was at that point. So you can see this rate has gone up a bit. Now, it's got a lot of room to move up if it wanted to. So this is the risk of the HELOC, is you need to make sure that your payback period is fast enough to where you don't have issues down the road. So always monitor the prime rate, make sure you know where the HELOC rate is going and where it's been to make sure that you're comfortable with that process. If you have any questions, please reach out to me by email or phone, and happy to go through if you have any specific scenarios that you'd like to run by. I can compare all the different options, whether it's a HELOC, cash out, or a home equity loan.